So there's a couple of different types of airbrush we can talk about. To start with, we have gravity feed, where your paint goes in this cup here. You press, usually, actually, let me show you here, we got this. This is your airline. Your airline plugs in. What we have attached here is a moisture filter, which takes any moisture out of the air, so you don't want extra moisture coming through your airbrush because it tends to mess up your paint. So your paint is loaded here. You press your trigger down, you get air, and depending then on how far you pull back, this is a dual action airbrush, releases paint. So you have pull back, air down, you get quite a large white spray, or smaller in, and you can come in really close and you can get a nice sharp fine lines. So this is quite a nice airbrush actually for kind of starting off with as well. You can use small amounts of paint, large amounts of paint. It's a good all-rounder. I used 3 or 4 of them in the studio. And then we have a bottle feed. So basically the same as a dual action. You press down for air and you pull back on the trigger. But on this particular one we have a bottle. Mainly used for, I suppose, large quantities of paint. When you're doing a large piece and you're using a lot of the one colour, you tend to have them pre-mixed in bottles, and they can be easily swapped out and changed for a different colour. So this is the same. You push down on the trigger for air and pull back to release paint. The other one that we use is a side feed. Now the side feed, this is an old one I have here, and if you can see, we have a hole here for a bottle, and you can either use a bottle or a small little cup. So it's dual. It can be used as either a side feed or a gravity feed or a bottle feed. Just a little bit more of an all-rounder. Same thing. This is a dual action. So you press down on the trigger, you get air, and then the more you pull back, the more paint you release. So for the person starting out airbrushing, I use a brand of airbrush from Iwata. It's a Japanese company. They make really, really nice airbrushes. These cost, I think these are around 130, 140 euro. But I think if you were starting off, I would nearly recommend you go for something like this to start with. You can buy cheaper brushes, but they tend not to be as good. I think these are just a good quality, nice for anything, depending on what you want to be painting, be it canvas, hobbies, painting model airplanes and whatnot. These are a good, fairly robust airbrush. You can go higher then as well, like you can pay 400 or 500 euro for an airbrush. This one here is, I think this one cost me about 250. It's a HP, where this one is an Eclipse. This is a Highline. It's got a tighter nozzle which condenses the airflow and the paint, so you can get really, really fine lines with these guys.
Tell us more about kind of tips. You mentioned things like YouTube and things how to start off and that. So tell us tips for persons want to get into airbrushing.
Sure. When I started off airbrushing, it was just basically for the love of it. It was trial and error. I taught myself all the different techniques from looking at magazines and reading articles and stuff. But I suppose with the advent of YouTube in the last, over the last few years anyway, that there's tons of tutorials for beginners to intermediates to advanced. And you can find anything you want on YouTube as such, to help you along and help you develop your airbrush skills. Another thing I suppose is paint. As well, like when you're going out and you're getting your starter kit, you've got your airbrush, you have your compressor, and paint. So there's various different types of paint on the market for airbrush specific. Like I use a Createx brand. They do several different types for different applications, be it automotive. You have Air Auto colours, which you can paint on cars, motorbikes, helmets. Really good quality paint. Doesn't fade, so kind of is durable out in the sunlight and whatnot. A lot more fine artists are using airbrushes to create work as well now. Air Auto are they were designed for the auto industry, for custom painters to paint cars and whatnot. Createx have come out with an illustration, so it's more of an artistic palette. So you'll find your all reliables like burnt umber and acrylium blue or cobalt blue and all these types of things, which kind of help the illustration artist or the fine artist create their work. Then there's special effects types paints. There's you can get all sorts of different things. So we have like what's this one? Expired blue or dermatitis tan, which are just, instead of having to go to the trouble of mixing specific colours, they've tried to come up with ways of just having them ready to use straight from a bottle. Like literally you just have to give it a quick shake and a couple of drips in your airbrush with either a little bit of water or reducer. Give it a quick shake and you're ready to go.